We are going out for the night with the beasts. Ah, what a night! Said Veslovsky, looking out at the edge of the hut and the unharnessed wagonette that could be seen in the faint light of the evening glow in the great frame of the open doors. But listen, there are women's voices singing, and, on my word, not badly too. Who's that singing, my friend? That's the maids from hard by here. Let's go, let's have a walk. We shan't go to sleep, you know. Oblonsky, come along. If one could only do both, lie here and go, answered Oblonsky, stretching. It's capital lying here. Well, I shall go by myself, said Veslovsky, getting up eagerly, and putting on his shoes and stockings. Goodbye, gentlemen. If it's fun, I'll fetch you. You've treated me to some good sport, and I won't forget you. He really is a capital fellow, isn't he? Said Stepan Arkadyevitch, when Veslovsky had gone out and the peasant had closed the door after him. Yes, capital, answered Levin, still thinking of the subject of their conversation just before. It seemed to him that he had clearly expressed his thoughts and feelings to the best of his capacity, and yet both of them, straightforward men and not fools, had said with one voice that he was comforting himself with sophistries. This disconcerted him. It's just this, my dear boy. One must do one of two things, either admit that the existing order of society is just, and then stick up for one's rights in it, or acknowledge that you are enjoying unjust privileges, as I do, and then enjoy them and be satisfied. No, if it were unjust, you could not enjoy these advantages and be satisfied, at least I could not. The great thing for me is to feel that I'm not to blame. What do you say, why not go after all? Said Stepan Arkadyevitch, evidently weary of the strain of thought. We shan't go to sleep, you know. Come, let's go. Levin did not answer. What they had said in the conversation, that he acted justly only in a negative sense, absorbed his thoughts. Can it be that it's only possible to be just negatively? He was asking himself. How strong the smell of the fresh hay is, though, said Stepan Arkadyevitch, getting up. There's not a chance of sleeping. Vasenka has been getting up some fun there. Do you hear the laughing and his voice? Hadn't we better go? Come along. No, I'm not coming, answered Levin. Surely that's not a matter of principle too, said Stepan Arkadyevitch, smiling, as he felt about in the dark for his cap. It's not a matter of principle, but why should I go? But do you know you are preparing trouble for yourself, said Stepan Arkadyevitch, finding his cap and getting up. How so? Do you suppose I don't see the line you've taken up with your wife? I heard how it's a question of the greatest consequence, whether or not you're to be away for a couple of days shooting. That's all very well as an idyllic episode, but for your whole life that won't answer. A man must be independent, he has his masculine interests. A man has to be manly, said Oblonsky, opening the door. In what way? To go running after servant girls? Said Levin. Why not, if it amuses him? Underscore sine tire pa consequence underscore. It won't do my wife any harm, and it'll amuse me. The great thing is to respect the sanctity of the home. There should be nothing in the home. But don't tie your own hands. Perhaps so, said Levin dryly, and he turned on his side. Tomorrow, early, I want to go shooting, and I won't wake anyone, and shall set off at daybreak. Underscore messieurs, vain as vite exclamation mark underscore they heard the voice of Veslovsky coming back. Underscore charmant exclamation mark underscore I've made such a discovery. Underscore charmant exclamation mark underscore a perfect Gretchen, and I've already made friends with her. Really, exceedingly pretty, he declared in a tone of approval, as though she had been made pretty entirely on his account, and he was expressing his satisfaction with the entertainment that had been provided for him. Levin pretended to be asleep, while Oblonsky, putting on his slippers, and lighting a cigar, walked out of the barn, and soon their voices were lost. For a long while Levin could not get to sleep. He heard the horses munching hay, then he heard the peasant and his elder boy getting ready for the night, and going off for the night watch with the beasts, then he heard the soldier arranging his bed on the other side of the barn, with his nephew, the younger son of their peasant host. He heard the boy in his shrill little voice telling his uncle what he thought about the dogs, who seemed to him huge and terrible creatures, and asking what the dogs were going to hunt next day, and the soldier in a husky, sleepy voice, telling him the sportsmen were going in the morning to the marsh, and would shoot with their guns, and then, to check the boy's questions, he said, "Go to sleep, Vaska, go to sleep, or you'll catch it," and soon after he began snoring himself, and everything was still. He could only hear the snort of the horses, and the guttural cry of a snipe. Is it really only negative? He repeated to himself. Well, what of it? It's not my fault. And he began thinking about the next day. Tomorrow I'll go out early, and I'll make a point of keeping cool. There are lots of snipe, and there are grouse too. When I come back there'll be the note from Kitty. Yes, Steva may be right, I'm not manly with her, I'm tied to her apron strings.